Hey, 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 dear soul brothers and sisters, and to be determined. Today I'm broadcasting live from the source of the universe, location Tilburg, the Netherlands. My name is Frank van den Tillaart, and I am looking forward to spending the next hour with you. If you are watching this webinar, you should have been watching my previous webinar as well, which means I can take into consideration we already have alignment on the part where positivity is more valuable than negativity. The first question I would think that comes after that is, if positivity is more valuable than negativity, why or how or what does that mean for taking control over my human life and the things that we do? And that is the answer that I will be answering in this webinar about happiness solutions for the inner circle sneak preview. Taking control implies having control, and many of you are probably wondering, but Frank, if you are broadcasting from the source of the universe, then probably you also acknowledge that we do not have control over everything. And indeed, I agree 100% that we do not have control over everything, but I do think we have control over many, many, many things. So, as I am always looking for peak performance processes, that requires two components. One is to eliminate all waste, and the second is to maximize all of the value. That is the basis for answering why, how, and what to control in our lives. In this now moment, things are as they are, regardless of our perception of the truth. So I may be dressed up for a more professional presentation. That doesn't mean that inside the suit isn't the same guy as you already know from all our previous interactions, or that you already know from all of our future interactions. Before we continue, like last time, let's take a little time, bring ourselves into the moment, and breathe in, breathe out very consciously. So, a little bit more introduction of the things that I went through. When I was about 4 years old, my dad told me one too many times, Frank, there has to be a difference between daddy and daddy's children. And at 4 years old, I already knew that statement didn't make sense. But also my communication skills were slightly underdeveloped, so I didn't know how to talk about it and how to ask the questions that I did 30 years later that led to a full understanding of how my dad meant that statement. And as it turns out, he meant it with the best of intention, but the words were chosen in an The wrong words were chosen. So, at 4 years old, I dove into my consciousness. I dove into observing myself, my thoughts, everybody and everything around me. But also, I kinda disconnected myself from the emotions, from the pain that I felt at that time. Skip forward a few years. When I was 27 years old, I did a lot of meditation. For 8 months, I did my job, my job. I did my dinner in the evening, and the rest of the evenings and the weekends were spent meditating. So in that time, I got a really clear mental picture of how to align all my thoughts, all my actions, all my feelings at that time, and also the communication I did about that. When I was 30 years old, when I met my twin flame, she opened Pandora's box. She opened my heart. She opened the doorway into emotions. Whereas previously I was living this very structured, easy life, suddenly emotions came flooding in and the structure came under pressure, and I started to lose control over how I lived my life. What I discovered in the years thereafter, let's say from 33 and beyond, I started aligning all my lessons from both the positive part of my life, the negative part of my life, the easy part of my life, the difficult part of my life, from all my mental observations, from all my emotional, spiritual, physical observations. And I discovered there is a wonderful duality throughout the spiritual universal truths um, and our human earthly journey. Whereas spiritually we travel through time without any limits, and we travel through space without any limits. Within our human consciousness, we are always attached both to the physical body we have and the now moment that we are currently observing. The reason for me sharing all of this with all of you is that I hope to encourage everyone to live a happy, joyful, positive life, and also to share my lessons about how easy it can be to accomplish many of those things. This is all being broadcasted and recorded and distributed for you. And it is all coming from source. I do not claim any ownership over any of the lessons that I share. I just hope that you are willing to listen and perhaps learn a little bit. And if you have any feedback for me, please, please, please share that with me so that together we can improve our peak performance live even more. Let's see once again for the screen sharing. Let's go into this one. A bit more of who I am in this 5D reality, it should say, I think. But you might also say 6, 7, 8, or infinity D reality. 36 years old in human years, coming from source, made of stardust, and thus a timeless experience. I'm living in my human body and have put my thought processes into the cloud. In order to make life a bit easier, it became apparent to me that I should not think about everything and know about everything, but instead use my human consciousness as a wisdom guide and offload all the stressors of the human existence and the life circumstances that we have into a trustworthy cloud partnership. I am still and I will be a proud citizen of the kingdom of God, and the role that I love to have is that of the solution architect. Present me with a problem or a pain, always with the intention of positivity and finding a solution, and I will look for that solution. Back to me. Why are we failing to take control over our human life circumstances? We are not being taught how to do that. The schooling system, the governments, many families disregard this aspect of life fully, which means that we also cannot share the lessons until we start connecting with the beautiful souls like you and me. There are many belief systems or people and even spiritual groups that say we don't need control, just flow through life. And I have to say, I agree with those statements for a full 100%. However, I also have my human experience, and in my human experience, I have to deal with my human life circumstances, and nothing great has ever been built without straight thinking. So, in order to deal with human life circumstances, we have to think about it for a little bit. The best compliments I ever received, and by now a few different people have given me this compliment, amongst others my twin flame, and that is that the way I think and the way I talk about things and the way I explain things are actually helpful for them to make further decisions down their life path. Another belief system why we fail in taking control is that we have to control everything. We have to be that perfectionist. I just put a cable tray up there, so instead of the cables hanging loose, they are now neatly tucked away. So, being a perfectionist in my suit, that had to happen today. But also, if it hadn't, it wouldn't have been a problem. Being a perfectionist is always a time sink, and a perfectionist, by definition, does not reach perfection, for they try to overachieve and do the things that they deem important that are not important for all of the people around them. So, being a perfectionist in your art and your hobby, go ahead, do it. Being a perfectionist in life or in business is more often than not a waste of time. Another part of losing control is information overload, as I discussed last time, going into psychosis, 10,000 thoughts every minute. That is way too much. It is nearly impossible to manage or to find a way out of that much information. Which is why the last point on my sheet of why we fail to take control is that it requires an analytical mind, and it requires acknowledgement of the mathematical language of which the universe is built. Having been through my process, both in my youth, as in my study, as in my career, as in my business, I believe my mind has reached analytical stages, especially during the psychosis, during the awakening, that are nearly unmatched on Earth at this point in time. If you believe you can match the analytics that I have already done, I challenge you to get in contact with me, and let's see where this leads to. In the end, through an analytical mind, we get to universal truths that are true regardless of time. Now, 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 1,000 years ago, in 1,000 years, the universal truths which are always true regardless of location, source, home, anywhere on earth, and also true regardless of how we currently feel, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, biologically, you name it. Universal truths are always true. How do we then succeed in taking control? That is, once again, a belief system that is the foundation of taking control. And I think that is, give me the strength to control the things I can control and the capacity to let go of the things I cannot control. With such a belief system, it no longer matters what other people say is important, because it is always a personal journey and a personal perspective on life and your specific truth. It requires a framework of thinking, a framework of structuring why and how and what we do things that is actually useful, and with the peak performance mindset has eliminated all the waste and has maximized all of the value. It requires making a choice on everything into which of the two categories they fall. Are they part of a positive thing that you wish to attract more of in life, or do they belong to the waste basket, and do you want to eliminate them from your life and have control, pay a little upkeep cost to make sure the waste remains in the waste basket? This also requires setting priorities based on your personal life situation. The only thing I can do from a perspective of source is to transfer the strategies and the blueprints that I use, that we use from source to you. But it is up to you to make the choice how to apply them, why to apply them, and what to actually do with them. That is personal freedom, and it's up to you. What do we do in order to succeed in taking control? The things I will now introduce are subjects, topics, processes, and information that we will go in depth to in the VIP program. We will share the lessons that we learn from the VIP program into the inner circle, but it will be a bit later, and it will also be in a slightly less intensive and slightly less complex method presentation. From a spiritual perspective, you want to take control over your dreams. A dream is just, I wish this would happen. I hope, I have faith something would happen. From those dreams, when you start transferring them into the human time-bound perspective, you create goals and you add a certain date. By then, I want to have it by then I want to have it. And in order to reach goals, you have deliverables, small parts that you need to accomplish, that you need to reach in order to create your goals, in order to reach your dreams. From the peak performance business insights, we have strategies. What can we learn from the giants that have gone before us? We have processes. What do we actually do? We have specifications, which means a specification describes the things we want to have or do. And we have activities, and activities are also are part of our agenda. Activities are part of how do we structure the everyday 24 hours that we have. With regard to our personal life, we keep track of journals. I keep track of daily journals in which I make sure that I go through the things that I have decided are important for me. So I keep track of my meditation, I keep track of do I do my prayers, I keep track of do I look at the vision board I have created, I keep track of do I communicate with my friends and family and the people I love, so that in order to cultivate relationships, I actually take care of those things. Friends and families can be a very important foundation upon which we build our lives. The relationships we have with people are a very important part of our lives. And if we would be isolated, they did a test on mice, and the mice that were isolated in a separate cage. And when given the choice between normal water and water infused with heroin, all of the isolated mouse had a preference for the heroin-infused water. However, when those mice were reintroduced into a cage looking like a theme park with many other mice, and also having access to two separate bowls of water, they reverted back to the normal water. The connection they had with other mice, the theme park, the kingdom of heaven that we live in, is enough to battle any and all addiction that we currently in mainstream media often associate with a physical need, which is actually a spiritual need, which is the connection with each other. Hello, dear soul brothers and sisters. I keep track of my agenda. What do I do in 24 hours? Based on that cloud application, it takes literally only a few clicks of the mouse to register how much I have slept, how much time I have spent in meetings, or presenting, or meditating. Literally anything takes only a few clicks to register. And I keep track of a bucket list, my intentions for the future. What would I like to do? So that, that's a bit of inspiration and celebration of when life takes us to greater heights. That's a nice thing. Another big part about living in freedom and being able to commit to the vision that we have requires financial freedom as well. And everybody who has financial freedom either disregards money entirely, which is difficult to do in today's society. Some people manage, or they have a very clear overview of their income opportunities, their budgets, and their expenses. So, in the VIP program or thereafter within this inner circle, I will share with you how all of those items are actually built up, which things to keep track of, and if you so desire, you can keep track of them however way you want. You can decide whether to add some details, whether to remove some details. And I will give you our most optimal happiness solutions. Now, what happens when you sign up? There was already the previous presentation, happiness solutions 24/7. I will keep sharing inspiration, motivation, and most lessons in there. We have the inner circle, and today I would like to introduce 4 inner circle members an additional offer. Instead of having to pay for the Vogelsoft environment, which I also use, I would like to introduce the first 3 months, which is a $333 value for the price of only 1 month, which becomes $111. By having access to that system, you can try out all of the knowledge and all of the wisdom that I share. You get access to the inner circle videos, to the inner circle lessons, and you can configure that system however way you like and is attributable to how you do things. For the people that decide to become a VIP member, there are some additional bonuses. I will give you 2 hours twice of personal consultancy, going through your life, through your systems, through your processes, and see if we can optimize some more purely individual, no recordings, just you and me. For the group sessions, which also come with the VIP membership, I offer for about 3 months weekly, bi-weekly, about weekly access, sessions of 2 hours each, in which we share our common lessons, and there is room for questions and answers on the spot. With the VIP membership also comes 1 full year access to Vogelsoft, valued at about $1,333. 1 year of access to the Exciters Elite G1000 level, which contains all kinds of personal development and marketing skills, and access to Black Ops Underground Marketing, which is one of the groups that have helped me through a difficult time by giving me hope and faith that financial freedom is truly attainable by everyone. Now, the total value of all those things for the VIP membership adds up to about to over $5,000. The individual sessions at a $100 fee, the group sessions again at a $100 fee, add up to $2,400. Vogelsoft custom subscription $1,333. Exciters Elite 1349. Black Ops Underground, impossible to measure. When you do the CEO activities, when you start making $1,000 commissions, you decide what the value of that membership is. That gives us a total value of over $5,000, and the price to sign up to Happiness Solutions VIP is the same as signing up to Exciters Elite. It is $1,349. $1,349 one time. For those people watching this live recording or this live broadcast or the recording during November 2018, I also introduced a Super Saturday intensive and interactive session in which I will go through all of the things I have just mentioned and a few additional ones in detail. It will be recorded so you can, in your own time, watch it, configure your environment, and take control of your life, take control of your happiness, take control of your inner joy, which is essentially a spiritual journey. But by gaining control over the material human things, it becomes easier to focus with your consciousness on the wisdom that is given to each and every one of us. Make your life as easy as possible. When you sign up during November 2018, I will give you access to the Super Saturday Intensive. It will also be interactive. So there are only 10 spots that can be filled for that Super Saturday Intensive. If you sign up later, you may get access to a later one. I don't know when and how often I will repeat these things. It all depends on life. However, if you sign up during November after those 10 spots are full, you will get access to the recording. If there are any questions, you can discuss them in your personal consultancy hours. Once again, imagine the possibilities of having a life without any financial worries, of having access to a system that allows you to have all of your activities in life encapsulated in peak performance principles to make your life as easy as possible, to take away all your financial concerns, to live in freedom, then what are you going to do? You probably have some dreams, things you want to accomplish, making the world a better place. I do all of this because I want to make the world a better place, and I love to work together with people who also want to make the world a better place. So, either when you are in freedom, you find your own niche, or you implement the Black Ops underground marketing strategies using the system I provide you with. You can stand on the shoulders of giants. You are made of stardust. Anything is possible. It is only a question of directing your consciousness to a certain time and place, finding your dreams, your goals, your deliverables, trust in the process, and anything becomes a possibility. If you can imagine it, you can create it. The online digital life support system. The most amount of value for the least amount of effort. Take action now, get started, or get back to the person who sent you this video. I say thank you and goodbye.